Unity of the Huachucas presents Tanya Lockhart.
Faith through prayer.
As I started on this grand adventure of giving this message today, as some of you know, I can take a task and make it much harder than it needs to be. I had 2 full notebooks, 3 Word documents, and a plethora of books. And I got a bit overwhelmed. So I stopped and I prayed. The acronym that popped into my head after I prayed was KISS, KISS, which I'm sure a lot of you know. But my mind says it a little differently, and I'm going to try and do my best to tell you how my mind is. It says it as, keep it simple, sweetheart. Mahalia Jackson says faith and prayer are the vitamins of the soul. Man cannot live in health without them. Our Unity co-founder, Myrtle Fillmore, had an unwavering belief in the power of prayer. No matter what we are dealing with, whether it is sickness, fear, or self-doubt, prayer reminds us of our innate divine powers and deepens our faith so that we can move forward. I have this saying posted on my closet door that says, every cell of my body vibrates with the life of God. And when I struggle or I do my PT, I repeat that phrase repeatedly. As it says in the books of Thomas, we're not here to go through trials and tribulations. We're here to grow through trials and tribulations. Over the past year and a half, I have been visiting an elderly English woman to have tea every month. She's a very lonely and embittered woman who's very set in her English ways and her strict ideals on how one should act and behave. I thought that just by being there for her and that my intentions were coming from a place of kindness and love, that would be enough for her to look past any ideals she might have. When we first started having tea, she would always tell me, now you take this food that's left over and you take it to Nick, because that's what she called Greg. Just take it to Nick. I eat like a bird and it'll just go to waste. Well, one day about 2 months ago, I received a package in the mail, returning the gifts I had given her with a note saying I was stealing food from her. And I don't know how to act correctly. That I was, quote, steadily showing a breach of good manners. And for a moment, it devastated me. It took me to a place where I felt rejected and as though I had done something wrong, even though I had thought I was doing everything right and in accordance with what the divine had been directing me to do. Now, in the past, this would ruminate in my mind over and over, causing great distress and self-doubt about me being a good person and my worthiness. But now, since I've started living my life by our 5 principles here at Unity, and my faith has grown, I was able to grow through this, not just go through it. I immediately went to prayer. Keep it simple, sweetheart, right? I prayed for her, and I continue to do so. And I prayed for myself. What lesson was I meant to take away from this event? Had I wasted all my time and effort? Was I wrong in what I had done or how I had done it? Well, the simple answer, according to how she felt, was yes. But my answer is no. As the daily word today said, I live with faith and positive expectation, trusting I am sustained by the power of God within me. And I am sustained by the power of God within me. I was reflecting that vibration of God that flows through me with her. God is, I am, and that was perfectly enough. I know that my faith and future is shaped by the habits I repeat. Prayer, meditation, and making good choices, rather than the goals that I have set. Goals have a way of changing and shifting, but my faith remains steadfast. We can only make choices for ourselves. I choose who I am regardless of who or how someone else is. This event has shown me just how much my faith has grown. So, how can you grow your faith? People have many ideas on how to do this, but I posit one of the most simple ways to do it is by praying. Prayer has a powerful psychological, emotional, and spiritual effect on us. It reduces our anxiety and stress, creating a sense of peace within us. It creates a greater sense of community with God and the vibrations He is within us. Prayer acts like a positive, structured self-talk that generates hope, emotional endurance, and the support we need that we can't always immediately find. It's like a repeating of intentions, like forgiveness, compassion, or humility, that gradually shapes our behavior, bringing us closer to the God within us. Now, prayer doesn't have to be a grand or structured thing. Reverend Rob introduced us to a song I played here last month, Our Thoughts Are Prayers. And that's very true. Just one moment of thought can be a powerful prayer to help us walk through a speed bump in life. Like, keep it simple, sweetheart, was a thought that brought me to this point, giving my first message. So I want to share with you some of the forms of prayers that I use. When you listen to music or sing as a form of prayer, it expresses devotion, emotion, and your intention in ways that goes beyond spoken words. Across cultures and religions, music and song has been used to connect human beings to the divine, to each other, and to their inner selves. Vibrationally, we create something bigger than any one of us. We more perfectly embody that presence and that power. Sometimes ordinary speech feels limited. Music and singing out loud, and we all know I like that, can add emotion, tone, rhythm, and breath to a prayer. And you know, every time we have a service and I sing, I feel every cell of my body vibrate with the life of God. The song we sang today, When I Pray by Daniel Nahmod, is one of my favorites. When we all sing together, it engages my whole body and it creates a unity with everybody here. The shared vibration creates a communal prayer, and our hearts are aligned in one direction. In fact, in the book of Psalms, many prayers were written as songs. When we sing with devotion, gratitude, longing, or surrender, that's a prayer. When we sing together, it's a form of group prayer. We have a small group of 8 people on our prayer chain. And last year, we prayed for over 166 people. Now, we didn't always know what the outcome was, but I know that it worked. It's a picture of me and my mama. 33 years ago, she was diagnosed with lung cancer, and it was devastating. She was going to have a lobectomy in order to try and remove the cancer. The problem was that the scans showed that the cancer had attached itself to her chest wall, which back in those days meant it had metastasized and it was a death sentence. And she was scared. So we all met in El Paso, some siblings and I, to be there for her for the surgery. Now, I don't come from a religious family. Before this time, I don't ever remember praying with anybody in my family. But I felt so strongly that we needed to pray with my mom and over my mom that I convinced everybody to do it. Now, I remember it was a really warm night in El Paso, and we all went outside, and my mom laid on the cement driveway, and we all surrounded her, putting our hands on her, and we prayed. But the prayer we did was, we prayed we saw that cancer shrinking. We prayed we saw it getting smaller and smaller and smaller and not being attached to the sidewall of her chest. Well, one thing I remember really, really clearly after she had that surgery was the astoundment of the surgeon and the doctors when they came out and they said that cancer was so much smaller than what they thought, and it was nowhere near her chest wall. And we ended up getting 7 more years with my mom. That moment cemented in me without a shadow of a doubt the power of group prayer. And it was the first time I had used a form of affirmative prayer, even though I didn't know it at the time. Now, if you're like me, and I think like most people, we are taught to pray in supplication to God, asking God to do things for us. Please help me in this situation, God. Oh, God, if I only get through this, I'll forevermore. Because many people pray because they feel powerless in some circumstance and are seeking a solution. In unity, affirmative prayer is a powerful tool we use. But what is affirmative prayer? Let's start with what is an affirmation. In their book, Discover Your Divinity by Linda Martella Whitsett and Deanne Morency, they write, affirmations are not hopes or wishes. Affirmations are not magic. Affirmations are tools for remembering an absolute truth about ourselves, and that it is a statement of truth used as an anchor for our mind. Affirmations like, I am open and willing to do what is mine to do. I am empowered. I am strong. Then we add affirmation to our prayer. But the first thing you have to realize is that you have to become open. Open to becoming willing. And that creates a shift in our consciousness. It makes us ready to accept a new possibility. I fundamentally realize that God is. There's only one presence and one power, active as the universe and as my life, God the Good. God is in everything. He's in every cell of my body, and that is the truth of being. So I recognize that I am. God is, I am. I have access to that at every moment. He has given me the power to change all that I need to move forward, to grow through things instead of going through them. Now, we are spiritual beings and human beings at the same time. As human beings, we have no choice but to deal with our humanness, whether it be cancer, rejection from others, or some other human circumstance. However, our spiritual being is what determines how we walk this path. Realizing this means we know we can. We know we have everything already in us and can appreciate the truth of us. I want to go back to my elderly English woman for a moment. When I prayed for her, it wasn't a beseeching for her to accept me and not reject me. My prayer was to uplift her to her highest and best good, right where she was at. Reverend Gill spoke to us about having to let go before we can open a space for something new. He was absolutely right. If this situation had happened to me even a few years ago, it would have impacted my sense of self, making me feel less than. Now, I can let her go and her beliefs of who and what I am. And I've opened up that space for what will come next. I want to take a moment and guide us through a short meditation. It's along the lines of what I like to do for myself. So, relax in your seats. Become aware of yourself, of your presence on the chair and in this room. Take a long breath and slowly release it. Now just sit and breathe. Feel the spirit of love in this room. God is, I am. I am connected to all of life. Every cell of my body vibrates with the life of God. I am life. I am open and willing to do what is mine to do. I live with faith and positive expectation. I am allowing the love of God to flow through me. I am sustained by the power of God within me. I am. When you're ready, take a deep breath. Come back to the room and gently open your eyes. I find these days that I worry less about circumstances. I know, shocker, Sharon. because I know I can move through them. I have gained that wisdom and faith through prayer. It doesn't have to be an elaborate prayer ritual. We can keep it simple, sweetheart, right? And it has just as much of an impact. Each time I pray, my faith grows deeper and stronger. As Susan Smith quoted from the book Discover Your Divinity last month, God is, I am. Therefore I realize, I can, I know, I have, and all is in divine order. And I want to close with this. There are a lot of forms of prayer, but what's underneath it is the same. Prayer is any conscious attempt to experience more of the presence of God. Thank you.